We are in the Fort Drum area looking for calcite clams. Here are a couple examples already. These are like ones that have been filled in, and then the shell has just naturally eroded, and you can see that nice golden honey calcite. You can kind of see the crystal structure as well. Another example, a larger one. But yeah, the goal is to find at least a couple nice big pieces with maybe a little bit of a cavity, just some nice chunky calcite crystals in it, and just, have fun for the day. So I'll get back to you guys if I find anything interesting. I'm sitting in this trench that's been dug, and I've just been working away. I've got a chunk here of some of like the limestone material with the shell in it, but then there was a chunk I saw over here. It's rolled out now, but I saw on this side that there were some little bits of calcite in there, if you see where I was pointing. So I think there's calcite on that section, and this clam section on the back that kind of popped out might have something in there. Who knows? We'll have to see. Maybe we'll get it cleaned off, or we'll maybe give it a whack and see if it busts open to some nice calcite. So I was just kind of surface collecting, just trying to see what holes might have something. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw the glint of calcite. I picked up this nice, lovely cluster of dogtooth crystals. Decent sized ones, minimal damage, so this is already a day maker for me. Hopefully it'll clean up nicely, but it looks like it'll clean up really good, and it'll be a nice kind of ball of crystals. So I'm quite happy with that. So we quickly gave the cluster of calcite a quick rinse off, and it's looking even better. So this is the butt end of the clam, so where it would hinge, and basically the bottom's filled up with the calcite. So you got these lovely large calcite crystals. Very cool. I'm very happy with this piece. Thought I'd show you guys the matrix that these clams are found in, and clams plus you can find some whelks and stuff like that. So it's like a phosphoriferous limestone. It's like super dense in fossils, and because of that, these fossils create all these cavities. And then there was, I think it was like a 10 or 12 foot layer basically that they found in a quarry pit nearby, where they were taking this material out for like aggregate, and they found the calcite crystals in that layer basically. And so this site, they brought a bunch of that material from basically that pit, that quarry, and dumped it here for people to go through. It used to be a kind of a popular tourist destination. Now you just you can catch the guy who lives here. He might let you on, he might not let you on, but basically these calcite clams are found in this super kind of porous phosphoriferous limestone material. And then there was just a certain layer of that material that had the calcite. It had the right conditions for the calcite crystals to permeate into the the matrix in the clams and stuff and fill them. So I was just doing some more surface collecting just all over the place. And this site you can also find, besides the large clams, which are coquina, I believe, clams, you can find whelks. It's kind of hard to see. You can kind of see this bit is a whelk. And if you get lucky and you cut these whelks open, you might get these nice calcite filled whelks. So this partial whelk, I think this is the larger head bit, and then this is kind of the stem or the spindle, I forget what they call it, but this is gonna definitely come home with me, and it probably has a date with the table saw. A couple more surface finds. I found this piece. It's a nice matrix piece. It's got a nice large clamshell, but then it's got some nice little smaller calcite clam casts, basically, which I think is nice, makes the piece look very nice. Then on top of that, I found this nice little calcite cast of a gastropod, or at least I think partially calcite. Anthony just pulled out this lovely little specimen. It's a nice little cluster of dogtooth crystals, just basically sitting right on kind of like this limestoney material, which is filled in the you see this is the remnants of the clamshell, and then that calcite has just kind of grown on there very nicely. Very nice, lovely little specimen. Some smalls that I've just surface collected. One's got a nice plate of druzy calcite, got a calcite cast, and some little clusters of calcite crystals or segments. I love the cast, they kind of glow in the sun. So I've got this rock that I just rolled out, and behind it is this clam. So let's go wash it up and see if we're lucky or if we're not lucky. Probably not going to be lucky, but who knows. Now, it looks like it might be hollow on that side, so maybe if we give it a couple love taps, if there's calcite inside, we might be able to just kind of create a window to the crystals. And if not, then you know, it's a bust. Unfortunately, it's a faker. It was hollow, so it's on the right, it had the right thought, but not hollow with calcite, just hollow with nothing. So on the trash pile it goes. My friend Anthony found this one. It's a lovely example of one of the ones that is hollow with the nice calcite sprays. You can see the lovely kind of honey brown calcite, and you can see how the clam is kind of hollow. It actually looks like it's one half of the clam, and then the bottom part is a mishmash of like crushed shell and limestone. So, but you can see that lovely cavity and those sprays of calcite. A very cool specimen. Here's a cool little find. It's not a common shell. It's basically just the cast, and then you can see the shell fragments on the outside. But it's also got some bryozoan imprints actually on the inside. Now, I was talking with Anthony. His theory is that the bryozoans kind of came in at the same time, like kind of like broke up and got stuck in the shell as everything got like killed and buried. And I thought it could also be the fact that the shell died and then some bryozoans came into the empty shell and implanted themselves on the shell before it got buried. But who knows for sure. But this is apparently a pretty uncommon shell to be found here. And, well, this is mostly just the cast of the inside, but it's a really nice cast. And it's got the bryozoan imprints, which is kind of cool. So, I thought I'd show you guys that. Plus, a couple more surface finds. This one's got a large window. It looks like it'll have some good calcite in it. And this one, you can see the calcite crystals. They didn't fully fill in. And then another small little calcite clam cast. Here are some of my favorite finds cleaned up. Now these fossils themselves actually come from a separate quarry that is separate from the property I collected these on. Basically the material was brought to the property I was on, where I was collecting, and it was dumped there. And the original quarry where these come from is known as Rucks Pit. Now these fossils specifically come from a very phosphorus layer from the Pleistocene era. Now obviously there are different types of fossils that came from this location. There's some rarer ones that I even couldn't find the names for, or the species types. Unfortunately, one of the ones that I found I accidentally left, which was stupid of me. but you know, it happens. But as far as species goes, the main species was these bivalves known as Mercenaria permangana. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And these are the main fossils that you'll find, the most prominent, and these are the classic. These are when you see those calcite clams, this is the species of clam that you think of when you see those classic calcite clams. Now this one it doesn't have a hollow crystal pocket, and instead it's just fully filled out with calcite. Now another species of shell you're going to find at this from Rucks Pit is the whelk shells. I'll try and throw up the species name for these. Now I found one with a crystal pocket, or a partial one with a crystal pocket. Usually you could tell because if you look straight on, the ends are kind of rounded. This could be another gastropod, maybe, but I'm pretty sure it's a whelk shell. That's at least what I've been told by my friend Anthony, who's collected this material more. A closer look at the specimen, you can kind of see that pocket just filled with all those little dog-tooth crystals. That's pretty cool. Now with this whelk shell, you can see it's a little more obvious that it is a whelk shell. You can actually see the shell bits, but it's partially hollow. Then on the back end, it's got all these individual calcite clam casts, which is pretty cool. Now if this one were to have calcite in it, it'd probably be oriented along with where the calcite clams are, but I don't know for sure, so it's going to be one of those ones where I have to decide whether or not if I want to even mess around with this one. And see over here, we even got a couple little sprays of dogtooth calcite. But yeah, you can see that more classic shape, and then it kind of narrows down. And I'll try and throw up a picture of an intact whelk shell so you guys can see and compare. Now there's some other bivalves. This comes from a species that I don't know the name of. I found a bigger calcite cast of one of these, but I foolishly forgot it. But I did find a couple small ones, and this is a small one that has a small little juicy calcite pocket. But this is another example of a different species that you can find, but it's less common. Then we have scallop shells. I think this was the only one I found, or I might have found another one, but it was busted. This is the only intact one I found, so I took it home with me because it's interesting to just have a difference of types of shells, fossilized shells. Now here we have the internal cast of some sort of gastropod, maybe a whelk, or there are some other spiral shells that can be found in the Rucks Pit material, but I'm a little unsure. I just spotted this one, and I do love my gastropods, so I was pretty happy to pick this one up and take it home. And in fact, before we take a good look at the star of the show, we have another one of those gastropods on the back here. If you can see, it's a little less obvious, but it's a calcite cast, and it is a spiral, which is kind of cool. But getting back to the main calcite clams, the Mercenaria clams, here are a couple of my favorite kind of intact ones, like fully intact but not like having crystal pockets. This one's cool because this shell, you can tell it's been partially calcified, but then you've also got these smaller calcite clam casts on the side. All that honey gold calcite just on the side. You can see if I flip it on this side, there's no calcite on this side. And these clams themselves, not only have they been filled in with calcite, but you can see this stuff here. This is calcite replacement, so the actual fossilized shell is being replaced by the calcite. Now, for whatever reason, sometimes the shell actually erodes away, and it just leaves the cast. And this is one of the larger, nicer casts I found. It's not complete, it's missing a little bit of stuff, but on the top it actually has an area that pocketed out, so you get some nice druzy sprays. If we take a closer look, you can see the nice sprays of dogtooth crystals, and then the many little points of dogtooth crystal. Sometimes the pockets get a little bigger, and so you'll get larger dogtooth crystals. This one I still need to do some cleaning. It's got some iron oxide staining, but as you can see, there's a nice toothy maw of dogtooth crystals. Now, last but definitely not least is the best find. This came right off of the surface. I just noticed it in somebody's discards. They had obviously not cleaned it off properly and just tossed it to the side. Now, it does have some bruising and damage, but I cheated and did some very light acid baths just to remove the most egregious bruising, just to make it more appealing. But you can see this is the kind of the classic golden honey calcite that people go after when you talk about Rucks Pit calcite clams. This is what you want to go after. This is even with the damage, it's quite a superb piece, and it was well worth the trip. Very cool find, and it's just chock full of dogtooth crystals, and you can actually see it's just only part of the bivalve. It's actually the two halves, and it's just the bottom two halves got filled in with the dogtooth calcite, and then for whatever reason they eroded away or got worn away, and all that was left was the little bit of shell that these dogtooth crystals are perched upon. But yeah, I am quite happy with this specimen. It's got quite a lovely color, and just the points are nice and large, and generally most of them are undamaged, just with a few bruised pieces. Most of that I could kind of remedy with just a quick dip in acid to kind of remove the most egregious bruising. But yeah, I am quite happy with this piece. One quick thing I also wanted to show you guys is that the calcite from Rucks Pit does fluoresce. You can see with the clams that have been calcite replaced or partially replaced by calcite, they have this similar or same glow, and they do have a little bit of phosphorescence. But yeah, not only cool looking in normal light, but also UV reactive in, I believe, both shortwave and long wave. We have gotten to the end of the video. I hope you found this video quite interesting and hopefully a little bit informative. I tried to throw in a little information about these fossils and the time period they came from. But please do, in the description below, let me know which of these you found the most interesting or found the coolest. I'm gonna guess most people are gonna choose this one. I mean, this is definitely my favorite. And please also, folks, if you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. I do all kinds of rockhounding related videos, so if that's your cup of tea, please consider liking and subscribing so that you can follow me for more and join me on my future trips. And thank you to all the folks who are returning viewers. I appreciate your patronage and the likes and the comments you leave below. And please just, folks, have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next video.